All right, so today I want to talk about the wall. The reason why I'm making this video, as you guys know, I make videos for a reason. I see guys having one personality online, the wall, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then in real life, it gets confusing. And I want to really, it doesn't have to get confusing. That's what the purpose of this video is, just to give you a breakdown of the realities from a man's perspective of what the wall means. All right, so I just seen over and over, I've seen guys like have two personalities. Basically, they'll meet somebody, and it is confusing, right? Because when does the wall hit, right? What day? It's not a day, right? It's not even a year. And so when does it hit? And I want to talk about what possible strategy a guy could have who wants to have kids or wants to have kind of a more normal thing, considering the wall. Okay, this is a pretty authoritative video, so I think you'll like it. I think the ideas have really come together on this one. So I would say first thing is I don't like, and I really think you should stop doing what I see online is everybody's putting down women because of the wall. I don't think, and I think after hearing this video, you're probably going to be like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, so there's different aspects to it. So what really got me to want to make this is a guy from the Japan Summit, Kako, goes by Kako. He was talking about how he had gone out with this woman, and I forgot how, she's 42, I think, 42. And she was very nice and willing. Everything was like, on that front was great. Sounds like she looked good. And she was just having trouble staying wet. And he was like, I could tell in his comment, he was like really conflicted, like what do I, kind of thing, like, God dang it, like you got a good girl, you know what I mean? A girl who is, but see, the thing is, we're only whatever we are at certain ages. You're only eligible to join the military at certain ages, even though you might be a smart guy and very brave. You can't join. And it's the same way with sports, drafts. It's the same way with many things. You can only do them at a certain age. So when I talk about the wall, I'm talking about a certain age, a certain period, right? Not about the person, because it's more complicated than that. It is. So, okay, so he said, that she was dry, right? It wasn't fully wet. And I see a lot of people online. I have a video. It's called Women and Aging, I think, and it's one of the most popular videos on. I think it's one of the top 10 or whatever. And there's a lot of people that will comment on there. I think good-meaning people. So this is where it gets confusing. Okay, and they're saying, my wife is 45 and she's still super wet, and a girl will say, I'm ready to go. Plenty wet, just like I was, or even more, whatever, you get these kind of comments, and they seem, on that video, I think the ones that are crazy, you see that, but you see the sincere ones too. And I think people were like reaching out, like, hey, that's not happening with me. And that's the problem with videos, because videos are trying to get a concept across, but there are always exceptions, and there's always things to know that are deeper, right? That's why I make long videos, right? So, okay, so let's get into those exceptions. Those exceptions, it's possible that somebody could be extremely wet until she was older, 60 or something. It is feasible. There is, in history, it is possible there's somebody like that. But what generally happens is the skin in the vagina gets thinner as she gets older, and it secretes less of everything. Estrogen goes down. And you can measure that in the blood. Estrogen peaks, I don't know what age, but it's in the early teens, and then goes down from there. And, things that you know about, like the eggs and stuff. The eggs are, she's born with a certain amount of eggs, and then those eggs die. And then there's no getting back new eggs. So there's things that are just biology, and I think that's why I don't like this really hammering on girls about the wall. I don't like it, because there's certain things in life that you can't stop. You can't, like, they're just sad. Like, you're not going to be able to play high school football the same way. You're not going to be able to stretch. You're not going to be able to jump over that fence the same way you did. It's like we all have to accept realities if we want to stay healthy, right? We have to adjust as we age. And I mean that from the age of like 10. You can't do what you did as an infant. You're not that flexible. You're constantly changing, basically. And I just don't think it's the smartest thing for guys. I understand it. And you know what? The scene is out there is so bad for guys that guys are just basically ripped apart. And I'm not criticizing those guys. When you're ripped apart in a court case, you lost your children, were kidnapped, you were thrown in jail for not paying things you couldn't pay. Things like this are just so unfair. So I'm not saying anything like there's any kind of a balance. But what I'm saying is once you get your feet back under you and you feel good and you're seeing things better in a more balanced way, you've gotten over things, then you have to start thinking, well, maybe I did reevaluate this one. Because here's the thing, is we're all born with no knowledge and we get knowledge as we go, right? We didn't know what we know now when we were in junior high school, right? Even though we thought we did, we didn't, right? Because there's no way to know what you don't know. It takes time. And then later on, you're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm constantly, at 59, I'm constantly learning things I didn't know. And I'm talking like pretty important, subtle things. Like I just yesterday we had a discussion with somebody and I was like, I've really learned in the last since December, something very deep being up here. And it's amazing that something would unfold inside of something that I thought I knew that's actually very fucking important and deep. So there's that kind of thing. So women are the same way. They're born. Women more than men are washed with the tide of public opinion. It really is. And ask any of your friends or sisters, it's women's nature to what is it called? Just to kind of go along. I think evolution, women learned, they have children doing all kinds of crazy things all the time. They can't treat them like adults. They have to, this is a child, the guy just kicked you in the face. Or like, I had once had a kid, my friend's son, he was playing with my girlfriend in Japan and he was down on all fours and playing around on the ground. And he came up with his head so fast. I don't know how old he was. Let's say 6 or something. I don't know, 7. I don't know what age exactly, but he came up so fast. And she was kind of really enjoying being with kids. She was older and she had never had a kid. And so she was really into it. She was like a great auntie to him. And what happened was her head was kind of over his head. She was like looking at what he was doing. And his head came flying up. And you know how hard your head is, right? If it really, like a headbutt, he smashed her in the face, in the nose so hard that I swear it almost knocked her out. She was just completely out of it. And she's really nice, so she was trying not to be, but she was, I think she almost couldn't even remember. Like she got hit so hard with his head. But that's, women, she just blew it off. She didn't, it's this kind of women have a cooperative nature at some level. And that's what I think is going wrong a lot with modern society, is that women are not being themselves. But naturally, women have a cooperative nature. They do. And I think it was not come from a beautiful place. It came from survival and reproduction, right? It came from need. Right? A lot of good things come from need, actually. But they end up being good. And one of them is the cooperative nature of women. And so that cooperative nature leads women to be very, more than they like to say publicly, but every woman knows that she's very vulnerable to new ideas. And if you look at statistics, just statistics, and again, don't immediately make fun. Just look at statistics and see the facts, right? Is when let's say there's a group of women, they've done a lot of studies, big statistically accurate studies of women with groups of friends, and one of them will get divorced, and then the next one. A bunch of them will get divorced in that group. Now, it happens over and over. Somebody gets divorced, and then homes are broken up like crazy in that group. That is something seriously to consider. If you all or one of your brothers or friends has a woman who is they're dating or they're married, I mean, they just need to know the truth. Like I would personally, knowing what I know, I wouldn't say anything, but I would move. I would not say a single word, because if you say a word, then you kind of just make it impossible for her to hang out with them every day. I would move. I'd get a new job, new city, sell the house. I think that the data is so real about women divorcing after their friends divorce that it's just like, as soon as you hear about it, it's going to happen or something. That's when you pack up and just say, see you later, alligator. And don't allow her to be swept away with the tide. You know those videos where someone's like a tourist that doesn't know the ocean is kind of standing too close to the waves, and then the wave just comes and pulls them in, and then they try to get out and another wave hits them, another wave. That's what happens. And so you really are doing your family a favor, your kids a favor, if you or your friend, if he's married, whoever you're trying to help, just to give him the data and let him, help him get a job. That's the best thing. Help him get a better job. You know what I mean? That's in a new area. Done, right? And the guy will be like, well, I don't know about all that, but this is a much better job. so I'm moving, and we're going, anyway, do whatever you got to do to make things happen in life. Sometimes like logic doesn't really work. That's why I present things from many angles for you, so that maybe one way doesn't work for your brain, but maybe another way does, right? Maybe it doesn't work for you right now, but it works when you help your friend or your brother, right? Your classmate, your coworker. The knowledge that I'm passing on is useful, not just for yourself, right? It's real information that's useful in your life and good to know, even if you don't do anything about it. Just because now, when you see that happen, you'll see people divorcing, the girls divorcing that group, and you'll know what's going on. Sometimes it's simple as that. Man needs to know what's going on. I think one of the biggest things today is information is changing so fast that there's a lot of guys out there so focused on work that they start to not know what's going on. And I've never heard anyone talk about this, but I think not knowing what's going on puts a man on edge. Historically, as you got older, you knew what was going on more than young people. But now, with technology and everything, as you get older, even if you were super fucking techie when you're young, you're going to eventually get out of what's going on, the newest thing, most of the time for most people. And that creates a despair, because a man wants to master his environment. And that's a lot of reasons why I make these videos too. I want you to understand life, and it will give you a confidence. Even if you're never going to do this or never going to do that, just knowing what's going on, the understanding, that right there is like really confidence building in your life. And I'm not talking about this video, I'm talking about all my videos, right? All the concepts I talk about in health, in aging, and flexibility, strength, in living abroad, like knowing that you have options. I've talked about that before. Knowing you have options with women, like coming to, let's say, a Thai summit, a Japan summit, and seeing that, wow, like, fuck, this is amazing. Like, it's one thing to know it. It's another thing to feel it. When a cute girl, like, is young and she's, like, giggling at you and you're like, wait, I'm too old. Wait, this is not real. You're looking around and she's looking at you and you're like, wait, this is your reality takes time to catch up. You're like, wait, I'm still attractive? Me? Like, I don't make this. I don't, And then it's like, yeah, you are attractive. You just have to find where that is. There's locations. And more importantly, I teach a lot about how to improve yourself that will make you more attractive everywhere, right? You're not running away. The ultimate goal is to be attractive man wherever you go. And I got to tell you, one thing happened yesterday. It's pretty funny. But it felt great. It's really stupid, but it felt great. I was walking down the street and I just got a new pair of jeans, right? And a new shirt. I went down to the thrift store and they had a brand new Calvin Klein, had tags on and everything, shirt, and a pair of Lucky jeans that were really cool. I thought they were really cool. And I know they've been there for a couple of months. So I'm surprised nobody noticed. But I finally put them on today, and I was like, oh, fuck, I think these are cool. You know, when you put something on, it's kind of extreme, and you're like, either this is cool or it's super dorky. Something's going on here. And so anyway, I got them, and then I was out walking, and I won't tell you everything that happened, but one thing was funny was I was walking, and this minivan came by, and this kid, probably junior high or whatever, he puts his head out the window, he yells, he goes, hey, my mom, the guy in green, I had a green shirt on, he goes, my mom thinks you're hot. And the whole car starts rolling, and the mother's just like, she just turns left to go. She didn't know he was going to say that, right? And I looked back, and I thought, it took me a second to understand what was going on. You know, you kind of you hear someone yelling, you don't think it's a good thing, right? And then I realized, oh my God, that's what he's talking about me. Oh shit. So I turned around and gave her the thumbs up, and then she smiled. So anyway, is that kind of thing, when you're 59, it feels good. It does. It fucking does. It's amazing. You don't have to do anything about it. That's what I'm telling you. You guys have to understand. There's many layers of every single thing, right? Being attractive to women it is a positive thing, no matter what. And I'll tell you something, as you get older, things will hit you differently. You know, just think about it, right? When you're younger, you have a lot of friends from being in school, right? You're just kind of forced to be together, and you make friends. And those friends end up being real friends, right? And most of them, you know, and then you get a lot of compliments, you get a lot of opportunities, a lot of action. You're always in the action. Hey, let's go to this party. Hey, let's go to this thing. Hey, let's join this team, blah, blah, blah. Older you get, the less of that, and less of all of it. And that's why it's so important, I think, as a man, is to stay in the flow of life. And I often talk about that. Stay young, stay attractive, stay knowledgeable, stay flexible, keep your looks, improve your humor, improve your fashion, improve your fitness, improve your flexibility. Like, you can not only get better, you can look better than you did in high school on many levels. Not every level, like your skin is going to be one thing, but you can be, like, other than that, you can be in better shape when you're older. It's not that, I mean, obviously if you're, you know, totally fucking jacked to the max and fitness influencer in high school, probably not, but most people aren't. And there's a lot of things that you can do, and it's not about being the best in the world. That's what I'm saying. It's the feeling of confidence it gets. Like, if you get ripped, I remember Seiji in Japan. You know, he was like definitely not in good shape when we went to the Japanese Summit, and then later on he posted pictures. He was all jacked, hard, and you know, I know he was fucking confident. I could tell he's all fucking fired up, because it's a race against yourself. Sometimes it's a race against what you've never done. It's a journey into a new field that you have never mastered, and the compliments or the benefits will really touch you. You'll be like, wow, this is so cool. Especially as you get older. It doesn't, that's the thing, is it doesn't matter. Okay, you don't need it, but it feels good. It does. It feels great. And it'll happen naturally by improving yourself. So there's nothing to lose, right? You're extending your life. You're feeling better about every minute that you're alive. You're looking better, and people are noticing. You know, I know the older I get, I start to get it. And I might even change my opinion that it matters more when you get older, later, because I think it's just starting for me at 59. I think when I get to 69, 79, I think I'm going to be able to go deeper into it. I'll have more knowledge. Okay. And more gratitude, right? So what about aging for women? That's kind of what your path is, right? For guys. Now, what about women? What is it for them? And I want to say first, it's so sad, like that Kako story, you know, and I'll tell you, I had an experience like that. I had a girlfriend, or a chick I was sleeping with, and it was really hot. She was old. She was like 35, and I was 25 and 26. And she was extremely my type, like, so, you know, some girls, they just have bodies and faces that are just like almost unreal. It just turns you on so fucking much. This girl was just I almost thought that's what she's made for. Like, when I would see her, it was just like, it was so on all the time. And my confidence was I just like a rag doll. She loved it. And it was very, very hot. Our fucking relationship was very extremely hot. And I think it was even hotter by the fact that she was 35 and she was very uptight on the outside. So anyway, then I didn't see her for a long time. And I can't remember how she got in touch with me or if I ran into her or whatever, but Tokyo's a small place sometimes. I must have run into her. And anyway, I had totally lost touch. It was pre-internet, social media. And, I changed cell phones all the time back then because there was a lot of new technologies. I remember there was a thing called PHS phones that never caught on. They were pretty interesting though. As a guy, they were interesting. You know what they were? They were basically, you remember home wireless phones? Well, what they were I think it was Panasonic. They said, well, what if we make the home antennas really strong and just put them everywhere? Because they're not dangerous. They've already been tested. Let's just put them all over the place. And they're cheap, right? Super cheap. So we'll just put them everywhere and basically you'll have a cell phone. Because that was when cell phones were new and you were talking about satellites and expensive. And these things caught on. They worked perfectly. And I bought one. I had a PHS. I never thought I was going to switch because the connection on a PHS was even better than modern cell phones. The voice quality was perfect. It was just like a home phone. And I remember they sold them to Singapore, and everybody was using them in Singapore because it's a nation state, small nation state. So it was kind of perfect for the technology. But then what happened was the cell phone caught on, and then PHS died. So I had a PHS phone, I had this phone, I had that phone, I had this company, I tried different things. So your number changes in Japan. You can't transfer. So I changed numbers. Like she couldn't call me, she couldn't contact me. Anyway, I saw her. We went out. She looked pretty good still. She looked darn good. I don't remember how old she was. I'm going to say 43, maybe, about 43, 44. Might have been older, might have been 47. I'm not sure. Anyway, she was, if you've ever seen like the most beautiful type, actually she wasn't the most beautiful, she was the most sexy. She was the most kawaii and sexy type. So she wasn't the most beautiful. It's a different word. But anyway, she was that. And it was just, like CSL cocksucking lips, like big time, right? And just the bubbly, and she had the fucking bouncy rack, man. This chick was natural, and she was the most spinner I've ever had in my entire life with huge rack. She was a manga girl. Like you could make a manga doll out of her body, and it would be better than the dolls. It was totally real, totally natural, and we talked about it. A lot. While I was fucking her, we talked dirty, and she would tell me about stories when she was younger, about how all the older guys would come on to her and all this. And it was fucking true, man. A total natural. 1 in a million. Probably 1 in 500 million? A billion? I don't know. Pretty high. Anyway, so I saw her again. She looked pretty good, like I said. She was always older than me. So I was 25 and she was 35. So I was always kind of used to her being older, kind of a MILF to me. She was a MILF to me, yeah. And so then we went out and we went to the hotel, and I just thought I better buy some fucking lube. So we went to the pharmacy and we got some lube, and that was a funny story itself. But we got the lube and we went back, and we had sex. And the sad thing was, here's why I don't recommend being on your high horse, is this girl was a good girl, and I realized that she loved me. She had wanted to leave her husband for me way back. She had been trying to get us caught so that her husband would leave her. She had tried everything. This chick was totally in love with me, and I really didn't know it at the time. I really didn't understand it. Actually, it wasn't until I saw her 10 years later, and I felt so bad. I felt bad for two reasons. One is because Father Time had arrived, and her inner soul had not changed. And also, her predicament had deepened, And, time gets us all, but it's always sad. Every person's kind of a tragedy your life in a way. You end up dying, right? It really is. At the end, we're all tragedies, of what we used to be, what we used to do. And we try to put a brave face on it, but that's the reality, is we're all going to pass, and it's going to be fucking pathetic. It's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, right? It's just a reality of life. I accept that. I am grateful for every fucking day. I accept that I will get old and pathetic, and that's the way it is. And I always think of my dad's friend, who ended up his last 3 months crawling up and down his stairs on his hands and knees by himself, shitting his pants. And they didn't know until he died, and then they went and they found in his house the remnants of, the way he lived in the end. And I thought, oh man, that's sad, because the guy was a real strong guy. He was an iron worker, and he was like one of these guys that was just bulletproof. And I think that's partly why he wouldn't ask for help, right? And he went to the end. I thought, you know what? That's probably me too. I can do it myself. I'm not saying I'm going to choose that, but I'm tough. I can go on to the end, crawling and shitting and just still kind of having a good time. In the end, my spirit is never going to give up. I'm just going to keep going on. I am going to continue. You know what I mean? Being me. That's just the way it fucking is for me. But I might be able to adjust and add the asking for help and the being vulnerable part. But my spirit is like that. I hope I can adjust. I really hope I can take what I've learned from other people, the wisdom. I wasn't born with that wisdom, that one. I wasn't born with the asking for help wisdom, It wasn't, that's not a natural thing for me. But maybe I can adjust. Maybe, I see a possibility. All right. So we get older, women get older. How does that affect you as a man? See, now, here's society's kind of thing is, and I'm not talking about all the stuff we always talk about. This is kind of different. So it's kind of like you choose a woman and you are now responsible for her forever, no matter what she does or no matter what happens. And, historically, there's something true about that. Women were not the same as they are in modern women, but guys put up with a lot. They made a commitment to a woman, and, I know guys that have wives with Alzheimer's, where I know a couple guys, actually. There's 2 guys with serious Alzheimer's that I know here in Santa Cruz, and there's a lot of guys I know that are having their wives tested for Alzheimer's. Okay, so it's a real thing, and it is a very difficult thing, man. It is a difficult thing, because when someone gets sick like that, you chose her as a wife. She raised your kids, and she stayed with you. You got to fucking help her. You know what I mean? That's, I think, the only way. It's the same way with your parents. No matter how fucked up they are, you got to kind of fucking be there for them, right? You got to, I mean, no matter how fucked up they are. I'm not talking about regular parents. Regular parents, of course you owe them. Of course. But I'm talking about fucked up, abusive parents, because life is complicated and you're a man. And in the end of the day, when I go, I want to be able to say, you know what? I fucking held up the flag. So yeah, but here's the thing. Here's what you need to know about the wall. Is that, and it's not about plastics, or it's not about any of this stuff. It's you gotta think fucking hardcore sometimes, man. Sometimes you're kind and you're helping everybody, and other times you gotta think hard, like the future. So once you commit to her, is what I'm talking about. Now, if you don't commit to her, she's on her own, and everybody would agree to that, including your inner soul. Okay, so that is a very, and I am telling you, it all starts after 35. And You do not know. If you're not a content creator or leading some kind of a group of a lot of people, you do not know how many women have health problems. You do not know. And only their husbands know and their best friends how bad it is. There are so many, I think because women don't traditionally work out as much as guys and they don't do physical exercise. I know in my family, like when I hear stories of the past, of my great grandmother and this and that, there is a madness with women. And I think a lot of it goes to physical fitness. A lot of the women in my family grew up in places where it's minus, 50 outside. There's no gym. There's no internet. They had to work only around the house. And it was too cold to go outside. You can't fucking go walking in minus 50. I mean, I've done it. Okay, I've done it. And what'll happen is you will basically burn your face and it will permanently change the color of your skin. Me and my brother I have a lighter version of it. I figured it out earlier than my brother, but we both have that. When it gets cold, our faces kind of look a little fucked up because we just were in the cold too much. Even though we grew up in California, both of us for different reasons, we chose to ignore it and be in the freezing cold for too long. So your body can be warm, but your face is exposed. And what happens is over time, that kills, I don't know what it does. Maybe somebody's a dermatologist and knows what happens. But long-term exposure to very, very cold, windy temperatures. And like I say, there's no real way to block this kind of wind. Maybe there's like new face masks now with just eyes that would work. But it's like too weird to wear that walking around New York or something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking realistic. I'm talking like a lot of my cold happened in Tokyo and Shanghai and New York. I ain't wearing a fucking mask like that. Okay, I don't want to scare everybody when I'm walking for fucking 4 hours, right? I just don't. I got frostbite also. That's how long I walked in the cold in Brooklyn when I was staying at Chime's house. I got frostbite. I didn't know it was frostbite. I thought it was athlete's foot. My foot was hurting. It's like, fuck, it hurts, So I bought some athlete's foot stuff and I couldn't figure it out because I was walking. I felt warm. The problem was my shoes. They weren't warm enough. And I didn't know anything. Grew up in California. I didn't really know about shoes. I thought as long as you feel good, you're fine. I did not know about quality shoes in the cold weather. And I got frostbite more than once, probably twice. And now whenever it gets cold, my feet hurt, right? So I pay the price for that. So knowledge is really power. And it's really freedom from pain. And that's what this whole video is about. So Father Time takes its toll. And especially on traditional women. Because there's going to be the exception. There's the exceptional woman. But on average, traditional women are not in the best shape. They're not on an Instagram. They're different types. And because of that, they physically, they can let it go a little, And I don't mean Oompa Loompa time like today. I just mean that it's skinny fat, it's called, where there's no muscle. And that happens to a lot of older, sweet Japanese girls, actually. Because back in the day in Japan, there was nothing about fitness for women. It was all about skinniness. And so they did everything they could to stay skinny. Even girls would even eat, there was pills with parasites in them, and they would eat them in Shibuya to keep skinny. Because it would eat first and eat their food, and then they would stay skinny. There was all kinds of things girls did. I'm not saying it was all bad. It wasn't. I mean, the hotness of Japanese girls, it paid off for them, I think. Definitely paid off motivation for men to work. I think a woman being hot is more important than a lot of details. She'll have a better life, And I say that to everybody. Stay as hot as you can, period. It's going to pay off. It is going to pay off. In confidence, in many ways. So like, this is a downward, and it starts at 35. When do most people get married these days? Dude, it's like 31. And then what do? You have a kid. So like, literally, you're getting married, a year of romance, she's getting pregnant, 9 months, a year of kind of like this new thing you've never been in if you never had a pregnant chick, which is not really usually the greatest time. And then usually most women want to. So there's this kind of lead up and there's this short period where she wants to do everything. Then it's another kid and then it's fucking over. Okay. It is ice cold. As soon as she's pregnant the second time and it passes, I don't know what week it is, the 30 weeks or something like that. There's a certain period when girls know that it's very likely to be born and they already know it's healthy. They've done the test. That is it. She's done. She's done. Usually in modern marriages, it's ice cold after that. It's not just ice cold as far as emotional, but it's ice cold as far as any sexual with you. And women will say, no, I'm not ice cold. You're not ice cold. It's true. With other guys. Yeah. So when you walk around and you look in that magazine and you watch a movie, you're going to get hot. You might be able to, and women are able to do this, transfer that wetness to another guy. You can do that. If you've ever picked up girls before and you get a girl really hot and then give her to your friend who just walked in the door, she's going to bone his brains out because you've already got her hot. Women can do that. They transfer. It's funny. I've done it before. It's hilarious. It's like they really do. And you can use that to your benefit. If a girl gets really hot over something, you just grab her and take her and go do it somewhere. And she'll be so into it because she's already, you know what I mean? The kettle's already boiling, right? Or close to a boil, right? And she'll appreciate it. Girls love it when you know their bodies, right? And you silently pull them to a new level, right? They love that. They don't like a lot of questions and talking, explanations. They like instinct, right? I'm telling you something you can use. Anyway, so basically, what I'm really saying here is that women after 35, and of course, it's going to depend a little bit on the woman. And I mean, these days, sometimes it's after like 19, but because the obesity problem. I just walked by a high school graduation thing, and I'm telling you that they were getting pictures. I am telling you that most of the girls were obese. I couldn't believe it. A high school, it was a prom, but they were mostly seniors. And they were getting pictures down by the wharf. Most were obese. I couldn't even see one skinny one, like really skinny one. I think they were coming from Watsonville, which is a little more heavy than Santa Cruz, but still not one in high school. I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, what the fuck? Oh my God. And they were all acting like they were skinny. I mean, it's the best way I can say it. You know, they were all just like giggling and acting. I was like, this is some kind of a horror movie here. My God, there really is no fucking hope, you know? There is no fucking hope here. I mean, it's crazy. It's sad. I feel so sorry for them. I don't want my daughter to have to go through that. I think I have a heart. I want the best for people, men and women. I want every woman and every man to be as sexy as they can and to feel that confidence that comes from being wanted. I don't want to put down girls. I'm not into that. But I'm also not into being manipulated. And I will not allow anything to manipulate me. Okay? So that's why you have to make the decision. You need the ice cold decision. Okay? We talked about ice cold last time. Ice cold is that when you don't look back, you don't question it, you just are done. Okay? As a man, you have part of you like that. It's just a done part. Maybe if you haven't recognized it in yourself, think back to something you quit doing. Maybe it was playing video games. Maybe it was something that was you really liked before and you were fucking just done. Okay, remember that. Done. Okay? And when it comes to committing to a woman, I hate to say it, but you got to be done. You know? Just done. Just like, nope. I am not going to do that. And you're like, well, what will happen in society? There's a lot of Okay, in sales, there's a lot of things called objections. Okay, so the guy will say, I got to talk to my wife. And then the salesman says, well, does your wife make your decisions? Did she decide to, what job you took and what friends you have? And the guy's like, no, he doesn't. And then he buys because he's like, it was kind of bullshit anyway. It was just a fake objection, right? So these objections to you doing what's in your interests need to be decimated. Okay? You are one person. Very few guys statistically in the world listen to this channel. And in that group of guys listening, very few take the advice. Or it takes time to hear the advice. And they make mistakes before they take the advice. Okay? Very few people just say, you know what? Fucking A, that's right. And I'm just going to do it. And usually those guys come to summits, honestly. I meet guys now who they're like, oh yeah. They're like, oh, here's a picture of what I used to look like. I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, oh yeah, I heard you said, yeah. I stopped eating sugar and ultra-processed food. And I lost 60 pounds, yeah. And now I look like this. It's like, and it's not some diet or anything. They just did the right thing for a few years. And I'm just like, what? You just did it after hearing it? Like, yeah. Oh, and I moved. I live, over here now. I was like, what? Whoa. That's what I want. It's just like, you're just like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to do that. Yep. Then that way didn't work. Fuck that. I'm going to do, and I don't have time for I don't have time to be a person that is fighting the same fight the rest of my life. Okay. I don't want to be that guy that's learning French until the day he dies. I'm not going to be that guy who's always trying this and trying that and never doing anything. I'd rather just do one thing and just be done. Okay. And I'll tell you something. It's not like that, because once you do one thing like that, like ice cold, it is, I don't know what percentage of guys' lives are wasted by this whole trying over and over bullshit. But once you do something like for me, it was quitting drinking and drugs when I was 21, 22. When I did that, it was and I only did drugs for like a year and a half. I did drugs for a very short period of time, like 19 to 21. And I was like, it fucking took over my life. And I stopped. And I stopped completely. And I'll tell you, that ability for me of just saying, nope, don't do that anymore. I'm a new person. I'm traveling now. I'm going to Asia. I'm going to do this new thing. I'm going to, that blossoming of myself was so powerful for me. And that's what I'm talking about you. That blossoming, that ice cold no leads to a blossoming. And that blossoming leads to a sense of, well, I think I'm just going to start doing this all the time. I'm not going to waste time on shit anymore. I'm just going to stop doing that. Yep, I'm going to change careers. Okay, well, I'll get distributed. I'll get this. I'll get the job. Okay, now I'll change jobs. Oh, yeah. You know what? I always wanted to move there. You know what? I'm going to do my research. I'm going to go over there. Best, like I said, go to a summit that's there. That's the best. Tell me where you want to move. Maybe we can have a summit there. That's the perfect way. Trust me, 2 heads are better than 1, 100%. And guys are just like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, why not? I'm saving tons of money on this other stuff. You know what I mean? Why don't I just do that? Why not? Yeah, sure. See, so you can be that guy that's 59 and I'm hoping 69, 79, where some guy yells out his car window, my mom thinks you're hot. Now, when I was a kid, my mom thinks you're hot wouldn't affect me. But today at 59, I was looking at the kid. He was probably, I don't know, maybe 14. So I thought his mom is probably 37 or something. I looked over, I kind of saw her face. She was under 40. I was like, oh, that's not bad. It's funny how things change. I still don't, trust me. I recommend 22 for every age of a guy. That's your goal. But for one night stand, whatever, it's like 37 can be pretty hot once, especially when you're my age, right? Or if she's a MILF and you're younger, right? Could be hot. Could be for one night. Again, one night, okay? The well is drying up, but one night could be hot. Definitely. So basically, you need to implement these ideas. You need to go into the closet, take off your Superman mask, your Superman cape, and no longer be the guy that's going to take a woman through life together. You're not going to be the captain of a ship for a woman. Just give it up. You're not going to do that. Even though you were built for it. And I was built for it. And I know the sadness in that. Because a lot of guys can't. I can. I'm built for it. It's my nature. But sometimes, you're trying to, this happened with explorers. They tried to discover, new islands, and they found the new world, right? So that's how it is. You had this goal, and now you got another goal, and it's even better. So there's a better goal now, and that is to be a man that brings good to a lot of people. And Whitey, my friend, when I was young, he was like 72. He was good looking. He was 72, but good looking, all tan. He had a red Mercedes convertible, leather seats, tan leather seats back in the day, back in 1987. And I remember Whitey. He was fucking cool, man. Jewish dude. He had like a gold chain and shit. I knew he had money. And he was just a confident, single guy. He still looked good. He was still in good shape. And he was always smiling. His teeth were, whitened and everything, but he was smiling. And chicks loved him. He fucking would say, "Hey, baby, I'll catch you later." He was like that, right? And I really thought this guy was the shit. I was like, oh, God, I want to be like that. That's amazing. It's the confidence he had, This guy's like 72, right? Fuck. And I knew other people who were 70s, and they didn't act like that. I was like, man, Whitey. And then Whitey goes, well, it's better to make a lot of women happy than one woman miserable. That's when I asked him about marriage. That's all he said. It's better to make a lot of women happy than one woman miserable. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I tell you, man, is women are gonna get and again, this is not a put down. Okay, you have a right to be single as a man, no matter how much pressure people put on you. You have a right to be independent. You are not responsible for society. You want to be a man who, through his life, adds to the world because that's built in you. Okay, that is built in you as a man. You want to do that. And if you don't do that, you will be sad and depressed when you're old. So focus on that, okay? Bringing more to the world than the world brings to you, where you bring good things to the world. But see, those are your decisions. I'm not saying don't bring good things because that's a key difference in my strategy. It's not a selfish thing I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, this is how I'm going to end it, is the world is bullying you, okay? They're forcing you to be responsible for an idiot, okay? For an out of shape, moronic, disease-ridden moron, okay? That's really the ultimate that society wants. Is the most capable man, has the most, lamest wife that you're going to the mental hospital, taking pills, and the guy just basically almost like a caregiver keeps her safe, keeps her fed, keeps her off the streets. If society could do it, they would just sacrifice guys. They'd just go out and pick guys. Okay, you're capable. You take care of this one, this homeless crazy one. Yeah, you take care of that one. Because in the end, that's all society wants. It's just like the wa in Japan, right? How everybody gets along. They want you to do that. They want you to sacrifice your life in a war. They want you to take care. They don't care how you feel. They don't care what you could have done. Society does not give a shit about that. They got a problem on their hands, and they want you to handle it. They want men to take care of people who didn't take care of themselves. That's what they want. And again, I'm not saying all women don't take care of themselves, but a lot of them fall apart in old age. And I think a lot of it is luck and evolution for men, how we stay healthy. Like working, right? We have to mow the lawn. We have to put out the garbage. We have to pick up things. We have to build a wall in the backyard. We have to do stuff, right? And that causes us you say we're a workhorse or whatever, it has benefits. Because in the end, we might be sores and pains and this and that, but we're pretty fucking capable, right? But if we were like lap of like, the way you want to think about women, to end on this, because it's easy to draw the wrong conclusion here. Think about a rich kid. Kid is born in a rich family. He never has to work. Everything handed to him. Now, I'm not saying it's exact comparison, but just take the analogy here. He just will not be able to work hard. The guy just won't have it. And once his personality is set in a certain age, he just kind of like this hopeless, helpless character. I know rich guys like this where their family loses their wealth and they just can never do anything. They can't do normal things guys can do. And when I say that, I'm serious. I can go into it, but I don't want to make fun of my friend. But it's really hard to relearn what it's like to live when you're old. Okay? It's really hard. And some people can do it. Most can't. And that's how it is. So you're dealing with a life where you have your freedom, your choices, and you're not responsible for society, but you are responsible for bringing something to the world that is your decision. So don't go the way of many people where they're like, just do whatever you want, and just take it. You're going to be depressed eventually. I'm telling you, the path to power, the path to freedom, and the path to helping the most people. And that's keeping yourself in the best state. Yeah, you could kind of be the guardian for somebody, but isn't an old folks home better for her? They can take care of her better than you anyway. Go forward and prosper.